There's a silent thief that's quietly stealing your strength, your desire, and your connection after 60. And it's not aging, it's not illness. It's 5 common mistakes men make behind closed doors, mistakes that seem harmless, but are quietly choking off the blood flow that keeps you feeling strong, connected, and alive. I'm Dr. William. For over 30 years, I've helped men just like you reclaim their vitality and reignite the spark they thought they had lost forever. And if you're feeling like your body isn't responding the way it used to, you're not alone. Because these 5 masturbation mistakes are more dangerous than most men realize. And the worst part? Almost everyone is making at least one of them. Stay with me, because today, I'm going to reveal the 5 silent mistakes that weaken circulation, dull sensation, and quietly erode your intimacy. And if you want to feel in control of your body again, drop a comment below and say, I'm ready to take back control. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more life-changing tips to keep your body strong, your blood flowing, and your confidence thriving after 60. Now let's get right into it. The first mistake is something almost every man does, and it's silently sabotaging your circulation more than you know. 1. The overly aggressive technique. It's one of the most common yet most misunderstood mistakes I've seen in my 30 years of working with men over 60. And it's a mistake that quietly chips away at their health without them even realizing it. It's the habit of using too much force, too much pressure, or trying to mimic the intensity of younger years with a body that now requires a softer, more intentional approach. Most men don't even realize they're doing it, but underneath the surface, something serious is happening. Something that gradually erodes both blood flow and the ability to truly connect and feel alive in intimate moments. Think back to when you were younger. Your blood vessels were more elastic, your tissues more resilient. But after 60, everything changes. The veins in the penis become more fragile, the skin thins, and the ability to bounce back from repeated stress isn't what it used to be. When you apply too much pressure, gripping too hard, pulling too aggressively, or using techniques that once felt normal, you could be causing tiny tears in the blood vessels beneath the skin. These micro-injuries don't hurt immediately. You won't see bruises or scars. But here's the real danger. Your body reacts to those tiny damages the same way it responds to any injury. It tries to heal by forming scar tissue. Over time, that scar tissue hardens. It narrows the vessels. And here's the critical problem. Those same vessels are responsible for bringing in the blood that gives you your erections, your sensitivity, and ultimately, your satisfaction. So what happens when that blood flow gets restricted? You might start noticing slower arousal, weaker erections, and a duller sensation overall. And you might even start avoiding intimacy, not because you don't want it, but because you're afraid of what your body won't do anymore. I've seen it happen too many times. Men blaming themselves, blaming their age, even blaming their partners. All the while, the real culprit is this private, unnoticed habit that's quietly causing the damage. And the emotional toll? It's just as real. When touch no longer brings that familiar spark, when intimacy feels like more effort than enjoyment, it can trigger a profound sense of loss. Many men pull away. They stop initiating affection. The distance grows, not just in the bedroom, but in the heart. But here's the good news. You don't need to give up masturbation. That's not the message here. What you need is a change in how you approach it. Think of it like driving a vintage car. You don't slam on the gas or take sharp corners at full speed. You slow down. You handle it with care. You savor the experience in a whole new way. Use a gentler grip. Slow down your pace. Avoid pulling or twisting motions that create unnecessary tension. And most importantly, listen to your body. Pay attention to how it feels. You'd be amazed at how much your sensitivity and blood flow can improve when you stop forcing your body to perform like it did decades ago and start treating it with the care it actually needs. This one change, shifting from force to finesse, can make a powerful difference in your circulation, your arousal, and in how deeply you connect with your partner. It's not just about performance, it's about confidence. It's about closeness. It's about knowing you can still give and receive pleasure without fear or frustration. And it's not too late. I've seen men in their 70s and even 80s make this shift, and rediscover a deeper, more satisfying level of intimacy than they felt in years. But don't get too comfortable. This is just the beginning, because there's another mistake older men are making without realizing it, and it's far more subtle, yet just as destructive. If you're still here and these insights are hitting home, type A1 in the comments to let me know you're paying attention. Now let's keep going. What comes next might surprise you even more. 2. Masturbating without lubrication. It's a mistake that hardly anyone talks about, but it's a mistake that quietly damages more men than you can imagine. And I've seen it affect older men time and time again. It's the habit of going through the motions without any form of lubrication. In the past, it might have seemed harmless, unnecessary even. But after 60, what once felt like nothing more than a little friction becomes a silent destroyer you can't afford to ignore. Let me tell you why. As we age, every part of our body changes, including the skin on the penis. It gets thinner, drier, and far less elastic. What used to handle friction with ease now becomes fragile and far more susceptible to damage. So when a man over 60 continues to masturbate the way he did at 30 without any lubrication, he's not just engaging in a harmless habit. He's creating micro tears and constant friction against delicate tissue that no longer has the resilience it once did. And the worst part, it doesn't even feel like damage at first. There's no sharp pain, no burning, no visible injury. But underneath the surface, something much more dangerous is happening. That repeated dry friction, it's causing tiny, barely noticeable injuries. And just like with overly aggressive techniques, the body responds to those micro-injuries the only way it knows how, by triggering inflammation. But here's the kicker. Over time, that chronic inflammation starts to create scar tissue. But even before that scar tissue hardens, the inflammation itself begins to restrict the flexibility and health of those tiny blood vessels right beneath the surface. And these are the same vessels responsible for delivering blood into the spongy tissues of the penis. When they're compromised, circulation slows down. Blood doesn't fill the chambers as completely as it used to. Erections become weaker, sensation drops, and what once was a source of pleasure and confidence becomes a source of frustration and self-doubt. I remember a patient named Daniel, 67, still healthy, still in love with his wife. But over the course of 2 years, he started noticing that sex just didn't feel the same. Not painful, not impossible, just dull. He said it felt like he was going through the motions, but the spark was gone. He assumed it was just aging, but after we had a long, honest conversation, we discovered the truth. Daniel had been masturbating frequently without any kind of lubrication, just like he always had. He never thought it mattered, but it did. That dry friction had been slowly breaking down the very tissue responsible for his sensitivity and circulation. Daniel wasn't broken. He wasn't aging poorly. He was just uninformed. So we changed that. I recommended a gentle water-based lubricant without harsh chemicals and walked him through how to adjust his habits to better suit his body now. And within a month, he came back to me with a smile. The spark hadn't just returned. It felt new. It felt different. It felt more connected. And that's what I want every man listening right now to understand. The smallest changes can restore what you thought was gone forever. Lubrication isn't about indulgence. It's about protection. It's about respecting the changes your body has gone through and giving it the care it deserves. When you use proper lubrication, you're not just making things feel better. You're reducing inflammation. You're preventing tissue breakdown. You're protecting the integrity of those tiny blood vessels that keep you feeling alive down there. And it's not just about the physical damage. When pleasure disappears, so does confidence. And when confidence drops, so does the desire to connect, to reach out, to be intimate. I've seen strong marriages grow distant, not because the love was gone, but because one partner quietly stopped trying, afraid they couldn't feel or perform the way they used to. And here's the worst part. Most men don't even know what's happening. No one ever told them how easy it could be to protect that part of themselves that still wants to give and receive love in a physical, meaningful way. So if you've been skipping lubrication, thinking it doesn't matter, hear this clearly. It matters now. It matters more than it ever did before. and it's one of the easiest changes you can make starting today. The right kind of lubricant is like a shield for your skin and vessels. It helps preserve what keeps you alive down there: blood flow, sensation, connection. And once those things come back, so does your confidence, your desire, and your willingness to show up fully in those moments that matter most. But as important as lubrication is, it's not the only mistake older men make. There's another mistake I see even more often, and it doesn't involve what you do with your hands, but what you fail to notice with your body. A warning sign most men brush off until it's too late. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into next. 3. Ignoring erectile warning signs. It's something most men do without even thinking about it. We brush it off, tell ourselves it's just aging, just part of getting older. But when it comes to your sexual health after 60, silence can be deadly. Ignoring the small, subtle signals your body is sending you is one of the most costly mistakes older men make. And when it comes to masturbation, those warning signs often show up first as weaker erections, delayed arousal, or a general lack of satisfaction. But instead of paying attention, most men dismiss them. They feel a slight change in sensitivity or a delay in arousal and think, "Oh, it's just my age." I had a patient named Richard. He was 72, still active, still independent, still very much interested in being intimate. But he came to me feeling embarrassed, almost ashamed to admit that something had changed. He said his erections weren't as strong, his orgasms felt less intense, and his desire to connect was starting to slip away. Richard assumed it was just his body slowing down, just another part of aging. But after we talked, it became clear that he was experiencing early signs of reduced blood flow. And what was causing it? The way he was masturbating. He had been using techniques that were too rough for his age, putting unnecessary pressure on blood vessels that were no longer as elastic or resilient as they once were. He had ignored those early warning signs, and he wasn't alone. This is how it happens for so many men. The changes don't come all at once. They creep in gradually. One day it takes a little longer to feel aroused. Another day, the sensation isn't quite as sharp, and eventually, without even realizing it, you start avoiding intimacy. Not because you don't want it, but because it just doesn't feel the same anymore. And the worst part? You tell yourself it's just aging. You convince yourself there's nothing you can do. But that's not the truth. Those small declines you're feeling, they're not just random signs of getting older. They're early markers of reduced circulation, weakened blood vessels, and subtle nerve damage, all of which can be linked to repetitive habits like masturbation that's too rough, too frequent, or done without proper care. And that's what makes this mistake so dangerous. There's no pain, no burning, no sharp warning that tells you to stop. Just a slow fade, one that chips away at your confidence, your connection with your partner, and your belief that anything can be done about it. And so, men stop talking about it. They stop reaching out for affection. They stop trying. Not because they've lost interest, but because they're afraid they can't feel or perform like they used to. But here's the reality. Erectile changes after 60 are not a death sentence for your sex life. They're not a sign that your best days are behind you. Often, they're simply signs that something in your routine, the way you're touching yourself, the pressure you're applying, the frequency of your sessions, is quietly sabotaging your circulation and nerve responsiveness. And the good news? When these signs are caught early, there is so much that can be done. I've worked with men who thought their intimacy was over. Men who thought they were broken, unfixable. But once they started paying attention, once they began treating their erections not as a measure of their masculinity, but as a vital sign of their vascular health, everything changed. They didn't just give up masturbation. They changed how they approached it. They used it as a way to reconnect with their body, to explore what still felt good without causing stress or tension. And the result? Their intimacy returned. Their confidence came back. And with it, that quiet, powerful feeling of still being capable, still being connected, still having so much to give. This mistake, ignoring warning signs, isn't just about losing physical function. It's about losing the desire to connect. When you can't feel as much, you stop wanting as much. When you believe you're broken, you start to act like you're broken. But that's not the truth. Your body is talking to you. It's sending you messages, urgent ones. You just need to start listening again. If you've noticed yourself avoiding intimacy, feeling less sensation, or struggling to maintain an erection during or after masturbation, don't brush it off. These are not minor annoyances. They are warnings. And the sooner you pay attention, the more power you have to reverse the damage and reconnect with that part of yourself that still wants to be alive, vibrant, and engaged. Now, if you've been paying attention so far, you might be asking yourself, if the way I touch myself matters and the signs I ignore matter, what else am I doing without realizing the damage? You're not alone. Most men are overlooking something even smaller, something so automatic they don't even know they're doing it. Yet it has a powerful effect on circulation, sensation, and intimacy. And that's exactly what we're diving into next. If this is hitting home for you, drop a 1 in the comments to let me know you're still here. Now let's keep going. What comes next might surprise you even more. 4. Holding your breath during masturbation. It's a habit almost every older man falls into without even realizing it. It's not something you learn. It's something your body starts doing automatically, especially in those moments of heightened tension, right before climax. You tense up, hold your breath, and think nothing of it. But what seems harmless is actually a silent saboteur, quietly restricting blood flow and weakening your connection to pleasure. Think back to the last time you were alone touching yourself. Did you notice your breathing? Probably not, but chances are, like most men over 60, there was a moment, maybe right before orgasm, when you clenched up and stopped breathing. Just for a second or two, maybe longer. It doesn't feel like much. But inside your body, that simple reflex is creating a powerful chain reaction. When you hold your breath, your blood pressure spikes, your muscles contract, oxygen delivery drops, and those tiny blood vessels that feed your penis, the ones already more fragile with age, tighten and constrict. It's like stepping on a garden hose while trying to water your plants. The flow stops, exactly when your body needs it most. Now imagine doing that day after day, week after week. Over time, those sudden spikes in pressure start to damage the delicate lining of those penile veins. They become less flexible, less responsive. And since erections rely entirely on blood flow, that restriction starts to show up in your performance. Suddenly, your arousal isn't as strong. Your erections don't last as long. The sensation isn't as sharp. And again, most men don't connect the dots. They just assume it's age catching up with them. But it's not just time, it's tension. And tension starts with your breath. I remember a patient named Harold. He was 69 and frustrated. He said things felt off, that he still wanted intimacy, but his body wouldn't cooperate. We talked, examined his health. Everything looked fine. Then he mentioned something that stopped me. He said, "Sometimes I catch myself clenching up when I'm close. I think I stopped breathing." That was it, the missing link. His body, out of habit, was sabotaging itself during those final moments of pleasure. I gave Harold a simple exercise. Focus on breathing deeply and rhythmically throughout self-stimulation, especially when you feel arousal building. Within 2 weeks, Harold was a different man. His erections were fuller. He felt more connected, not just to his body, but to the experience. Even his anxiety around performance started to melt away. And all because he started to breathe. It sounds too simple to be true, but your breath is a powerful tool. When you breathe deeply, you activate the parasympathetic system, the part responsible for relaxation, pleasure, and healthy blood flow. When you hold your breath, you trigger the sympathetic system, fight or flight mode, which shuts down circulation and treats intimacy like a threat instead of a connection. And when your body feels threatened, blood goes everywhere except where you need it most. So the next time you touch yourself, take a moment to notice your breath. Let it guide the rhythm, keep it flowing, breathe into the sensation rather than bracing against it. You'll find that the experience becomes not only more physically satisfying, but also emotionally grounding. You stop rushing, you stop tensing, you start feeling again. And over time, this one simple shift can revive the circulation that makes intimacy not just possible, but deeply meaningful. And there's more. When you breathe, you're also sending your brain a powerful message. I'm safe. I'm present. I'm allowed to feel. That message, repeated over time, can rebuild confidence. It allows you to approach intimacy not with fear or pressure, but with openness and calm. And in that space, real connection returns. Not just arousal, but closeness. And isn't that what this is really about? You might be thinking, breath, lubrication, technique, how much do these little things really matter? But here's what I've seen in 3 decades of working with men over 60. It's not the big changes that save intimacy. It's the small ones done consistently with care. They protect your body, restore your energy, and make intimacy feel possible again. But there's still one more silent mistake we need to uncover. And it's something many men actually believe is helping them. A habit they repeat often, thinking it's relieving tension, but instead it's quietly draining the very circulation and desire they're trying to protect. Let's talk about that next. 5. Masturbating too frequently. It's one of those habits men rarely talk about, especially as they get older. For many men over 60, masturbation becomes a way to feel some sense of control, something reliable, something familiar. And yes, in moderation, it can be a healthy part of self-care. But what most men don't realize, what no one ever told them, is that after 60, the body's recovery systems slow down. Hormones shift. Blood flow becomes more sensitive. And what once felt harmless in your 40s or 50s can start to have unintended consequences later in life. One of the most overlooked mistakes I see in men over 60 is this: masturbating too frequently. Not aggressively, not without lubrication, just too often, too much stimulation, too little rest, and it adds up. But it doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow, steady decline that quietly erodes your circulation and intimacy without you noticing until it's already taken something important away. Let me share a story. There was a man I worked with named Tom. He was 73, retired, widowed, still sharp and independent. He told me that masturbation had become part of his routine. "It helps me sleep," he said. "Takes the edge off." But over time, Tom noticed something wasn't right. His erections were becoming inconsistent. He felt emotionally flat afterward, less energized, more disconnected. And when he finally met someone new, a woman he deeply cared about, he found himself struggling, not just physically, but emotionally. It was like the desire was there, but the drive to connect was gone. "It's like I've used up my desire," he said, "and I don't know how to get it back." And that's when we uncovered the real problem. His daily habit, the one he thought was relieving tension, was actually draining his hormonal system and reducing the natural blood flow needed for healthy sexual function. Here's what most men don't know. After 60, frequent ejaculation can temporarily lower testosterone levels, disrupt dopamine balance, and constrict blood vessels that are already working harder to keep up. And when there's no recovery time, your system doesn't bounce back. It fatigues. Your libido drops. Erections weaken. And worse, you begin to lose the drive for physical closeness altogether. But it's not just about biology. It's about what that constant fatigue does to a man's spirit. When you feel disconnected from your own desire, you start to feel disconnected from others. You retreat, not because you want to, but because you're afraid you can't show up fully anymore. You stop reaching out. You stop initiating. You stop hoping. And suddenly, intimacy becomes something you watch from a distance, not something you live and feel in your bones. I've seen men go from daily habits to thoughtful, intentional schedules, 2 or 3 times a week, paired with better technique and full recovery. And the change, it's profound. Their circulation improves. They feel excitement again, not just release. And that shift doesn't just restore function, it restores confidence. That quiet knowing that you're still capable of giving and receiving love, that your body can still respond, that you haven't lost the man you used to be. You've just been pushing him too hard to notice. If you've been using masturbation to manage boredom, stress, or loneliness, I get it. It's familiar, it's easy. But after 60, ease isn't always your friend. Your body needs rhythm, balance, space to recharge. Otherwise, what was once a healthy outlet becomes a slow drain on your physical and emotional well-being. You don't have to give it up. That's not the point. You just have to give your body time to recover, to rebuild, to breathe. Intimacy is more than just frequency. It's about presence. When you allow space between those moments, you give your desire room to rise again naturally. You make room for real connection, not just release. And when that connection returns, everything changes. Your blood flow improves. Your arousal feels alive again. And your partner, if you have one, feels the difference. Not just in the bedroom, but in how you show up, how you hold yourself, how you love. If you're masturbating every day without giving your body time to recover, you're unknowingly weakening blood circulation, dulling sensation, and gradually losing the ability to maintain a firm erection. That's why after 60, your body needs a recovery cycle to restore energy, balance hormones, and regain the sensitivity you once had. This is the perfect time to implement the 3-day recovery cycle. On the first day, give yourself a complete rest. No masturbation, no stimulation, no pressure. This is the time for your body to relax, recover, and reset. Instead of spending time alone in your room, step outside and take a light walk. Breathe in the fresh air and let your body unwind. If going out is impossible, dedicate a few minutes to gentle stretching exercises to release tension in your hips and lower abdomen. At the end of the day, take a warm shower to boost blood circulation, relax your muscles, and encourage blood flow to the genital area. On the second day, it's time to reconnect with your body, not through self-pleasure, but through self-care. Take a small amount of coconut oil or olive oil, warm it up in your hands, and gently massage your lower abdomen and thighs. Don't rush. Feel every movement, every bit of warmth from your hands. This isn't just about stimulating blood flow, but about truly tuning into your body, noticing areas of tension, sensitivity, and places that need more care. After the massage, sit down, close your eyes, and take 5 minutes to breathe deeply. With each exhale, imagine releasing all tension, leaving behind a sense of calm and relaxation. On the third day, if you feel ready, you can engage in self-touch, but with a different approach. No rush, no pressure. Use a water-based lubricant that's free from harsh chemicals to protect the delicate skin that's become thinner and more sensitive after 60. As you begin, focus on maintaining a steady, deep breath. Don't hold your breath as you approach climax. Instead, inhale deeply, hold for a few seconds, and exhale slowly. With every exhale, imagine blood flowing throughout your body, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every muscle and vessel. This practice not only deepens your sensation, but also protects the small blood vessels from strain or damage caused by excessive tension. This 3-day recovery cycle not only helps your body regain its sensitivity, but also protects your long-term health, preventing the risk of permanently losing sensation. If you're used to masturbating every day, don't worry, start slowly. Practice this cycle once a week to give your body time to recover, regenerate tissue, and improve blood flow. You'll be amazed to discover that by slowing down, paying attention, and caring for your body in the right way, you don't just restore lost sensation, you open yourself to a deeper, more fulfilling level of pleasure and connection. If this is hitting close to home, that's a sign you need to make a change today. Don't let seemingly harmless habits quietly rob you of your ability to feel pleasure. Your body is still alive, still capable of recovery, but only if you give it the time and space to do so. Start the 3-day recovery cycle today and feel the difference. Not just in your body, but in your confidence, your connection, and your sense of self. You've made it this far, and that says a lot. You're not someone who's willing to settle for less, not when your health, your confidence, and your connection are on the line. Today, you've uncovered 5 hidden mistakes that silently steal your circulation, dull your desire, and chip away at the intimacy you once cherished. But here's the truth. It's not too late to take back control. Start by slowing down. Treat your body with care. Shift from force to finesse. Protect those fragile blood vessels and give your body time to recover. Because every small change you make today is a step toward restoring what you thought was lost. And remember, it's not about giving up. It's about giving yourself a chance to feel alive, vibrant, and connected once again. Now, if you're ready to go even deeper and discover the secret herbs that can reignite blood flow and transform your intimacy, don't miss my next video. These 4 herbs improve circulation and intimacy after 60. Life lessons from the elderly. In it, you'll learn how powerful natural remedies like ginseng, horny goatweed, and ginkgo biloba have brought back the vitality and confidence of countless seniors just like you. So don't wait. Click on the video right here, and let's keep building that strength, that connection, and that passion, because you deserve it. Stay strong, stay hopeful, and I'll see you in the next one.